All right, we're going to get started on our day 2 notes. The first blank, so if she didn't fill in this blank on the other day, the solution to a quadratic equation is simply the x-intercept. So it's the x-intercepts. Those are also called zeros. Oh, I guess that's the next blank. Other words for x-intercepts are zeros. Or roots. Solutions. So the directions might say any of those. Can you put your phone on the wall, please? I've already asked you like 4 times. Please put your phone on the wall. I give you guys time every class to be on your phone, not while we're taking notes. Thank you. So other words for x-intercepts are zeros, roots, solutions. To find the solutions, or sorry, to find the zeros or solutions of a quadratic equation in factored form, set each of the factors equal to 0 and solve for x. So that's the whole reason we spent the first 2 days, or sorry, the first day remembering how to factor, or for some of you learning how to factor, because you have to be able to factor to be able to find the solution of these quadratics. So there's a couple different ways that we find the solution. Sometimes we can graph. That's really easy because it's just where does the graph cross the x-axis. But if you don't have a graph, then another way that you can find the solution is by factoring. And if you factor, you set each factor equal to 0, and then we solve. This is called the zero product property. So what we're going to do is we're going to set each one of these equal to 0. And then we're going to solve. You set each one equal to 0 and you solve. So for the branch that goes on the left, if I solve this, what do I have to do? Subtract 15. So I get x is equal to negative 15. For the right branch, what do I have to do? Add 2. Very good. So those are my 2 solutions. So my solution set can have negative 15 and 2. That's it. For the next question, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to set each one of these factors equal to 0. All right, my friends, y'all need to focus. So what do we do with the left branch? Do what? Add 2. I was really confused. On the right, what do we do first? What's my next step? Friends, y'all need to focus. We have a quiz coming up. Please, come on. What do we do next? Very good. Very good. Divide by 3, and yes, that is correct. So my solution set, it doesn't really matter what order that you put these in, because it's not an ordered pair, it's a solution set. So the order doesn't matter. You can have them in the other order, it doesn't actually matter. Questions on either one of these? All right, let's move on. The next problem, find the zeros. How do we find the zeros? How do we find the zeros?
We gotta like do like a line, and we gotta do X plus 7. You can do it.
Yeah, we split them and we set them both equal to 0. Yep.
Yes. Yeah.
They all mean the same thing. Roots, zeros, solutions, x-intercepts, they're all the same thing. So on the left, we have x plus 7.
Like 2 is divided by 2 is 1, right?
Mhm. Did y'all get the same thing? -7 and 1?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. For the next one, let's do another one. What do I gotta do? What do I gotta do? It's the same thing. So I'm gonna do it up on the board. You do it on your paper. Let's make sure that we got the same thing. So don't look up until you're done.
Oh, man.
Fractions. If you need to do a fraction.
Is it like 2 names?
Did y'all get the same answers? Awesome. I want you to do the next one on your own, the next 2 problems. They are really, really easy. You can do them on your own.
Yeah, that's why I was like trying to sorry her. So I just got I knew she was like okay. You ain't responding. Bro, I'm Alex. You got to tell. I already beat you. I'm so glad you expected you. If you my phone died, I would have got a car. For real. Oh yeah, you do. What do you? Well, we're going back to chapter. And I was like, my first degree in 5 years. Yeah, she got like 8 years. Alright, sir. I'm gonna answer this already. I do whatever. Yeah, I mean, he actually does for real. Well, you know my cousin, he's my friend. Okay, but he was okay. So that party that we went to, I mean, it was alright, but it kind of happened like I said, we had walk around just scrolling on our phone and we didn't know pop up. We just went. No, it but we didn't have we were gonna walk out and pick up our food and go home. That's why I want. That's what we said. I think it should be another No, party close to the Christmas party. Hell yeah. I feel what like.
Speaking of Christmas, Adopt a Child is coming. If we don't get more money, I'm gonna have to cancel it.
Yeah.
I will count it, but I know that we don't have enough to even
Yeah, like, I can't believe
think
it's
about
like-
starting.
like,
Y'all will have to, but like, that's a lot of trust that I'm putting in you guys to do it. So
No,
I
like,
want like half are like put together, because some of y'all aren't going to be doing that. So to be able to do it, I'll count and see how much we have. I think so.
cause like.
I think we have at least 75. What?
But like, if you don't.
No, that's a good idea too, but we still gotta.
Cause I think we're at 50 right now. I think that's
We can make like a list of what people.
I think that's a good idea too.
Or like, what food like you think we should bring with us?
Wait, what day is it on?
The 15th.
Okay, I'll be here.
Well, you could, you know how big.
That's right before break.
Don't reach
I think that one.
So think about that.
Cause you're trying to the Christmas party on the 16th.
All right, for these two, Davion, I feel like I heard you say that you already knew the answer and you didn't even have to write stuff down. Why?
All you gotta do is try to hold.
Right. So whenever you see it and it's really simple, like the X plus something without the number in front of the X, those are really easy. It's always the exact same number, but opposite. And so you don't have to show me work when it's something so simple. Just don't make a mistake. So for number 5, the answer is -4 for this branch and -4 for this branch. Do you have to write it twice? No, it's the same answer. It's not a point. It's not an ordered pair. So all you have to do is write -4 one time.
Oh. Does it hurt?
No, but you won't ever see a solution like that. Like, it's not necessarily wrong if you write it twice, but we don't usually write it twice. So for number 6, what answers do we get for number 6? 5 and then -5. We definitely have to write both of those. So this one is factoring a difference of perfect squares. I feel like on the paper that you picked up that were notes, hopefully everybody picks them up. It's like a study guide. So if you were struggling with day 0, this is a really good study guide for you. If you were struggling with day 0, and those of you that can't seem to keep your mouths shut today, I can't really help you. But on this day 0 paper that you should have picked up, that's got a lot of notes on it, it has a lot of different examples already worked out for you.
That was confusing too. Not that.
Well, it's a bunch of stuff already worked out for you. So if you're struggling with one of the types of solving, you can look at these. It has the first 15 perfect squares on there. So this is a difference of perfect squares. Do you see 121 on the paper? Or do you know what the square root of 121 is? It is.
Oh, yeah. 11 times 11 is 1.1.
Yep. So the way that we write this problem is like this. That we have to first factor it. So we know that the square root of 121 is 11. So it has this pattern where I have x and then x, and anytime I can rewrite it, because this is the same thing, it's x squared minus 11 squared. Then I have minus 11 and plus 11. Another way to solve this problem, which you didn't have to solve it like this, but you can, is that we can just go ahead and start solving. So if I have negative 121, I could add 121. This is two different ways to solve. Or, so this goes to this, or, and the way that we undo a square is to square root. So we would have to bring over the square root. And you have to do plus and minus. So to get these solutions, x is equal to plus and minus 11. So that's one way you can solve it. Or here on the left, we see that we would get plus 11 and minus 11. It's the same answers. So it doesn't really matter which way you want to solve. You can either go like this and factor it and get your answer, or you can solve by square rooting. So you will add that and then square root. And whenever you square root, you have to do plus and minus. We have two more examples that we're going to do together, and then you'll have the rest of class to work on the assignment or to get caught up on some of your other assignments. Next problem. This is factor by grouping. Raise your hand if you remember factor by grouping. This is day one stuff. Okay, I don't have very many hands, so that means everybody needs to pay attention. We got to stop our side conversation. You can't really use the excuse of I didn't know or I didn't like the way she taught me if you don't pay attention when I'm teaching you. So we're going to do factor by grouping. There is a typo, so fix it. So it looks like I scribbled out the little 3 and I made that a 2. And then the second exponent that was a 2, I scribbled it out and no exponent. So factor by grouping means that we have two different groups. So we have two different groups. I have this group and then I have this group. What I have to look for in each group is the GCF. The GCF is the greatest common factor. We learned that on day 0 as well. So the greatest common factor, you also want to check the signs. So the signs for my first group is a positive and a negative. The signs for the second group are also a positive and a negative, so I don't have to do anything with the signs. Looking at my first group, what's the biggest number that I could divide out of both 2 and 8? I can divide out a 2. They also both have an x, but they don't both have a square. So I had a typo. We had to fix it. So on the left, the biggest thing that I can divide out would be a 2x and a 2x. Anytime you divide that out, it has to be rewritten into the front. So I will rewrite that into the front. 2x, and then I write down what I have left. 2 divided by 2 is 1. X divided by x is 1. 1, and then, sorry, let me take that off. It's not actually 1 because it's an x squared. So if I have an x squared and I divide out an x, I'm just left with a 1x. For here, what is 8 divided by 2?
4.
Yep, -4. And then x divided by x is going to be just a 1, so it went away. They divided. For my next group, what's the biggest number that can divide into both 3 and 12? 3. Very good. So I take that 3 and it's going to be rewritten in front. Is that a positive 3 or a negative 3? It's positive 3. 3 divided by 3 is 1, so I'm left with just an x. 12 divided by 3 is 4. I don't know why I put that line, doesn't go there. Your goal is to end up with two factors in parentheses that are identical. Did that happen? Yeah. So if I did it correctly. That's actually a new GCF. I take that and I rewrite it into the front one time. And then I write down what I have left. What I have left are these numbers, 2x and then a +3. So now I have my two factors. Now it's just like the rest of the problems we did. We're going to set each one equal to 0. So these are my factors. And now I'm going to find my solutions. So the x minus 4, what is that solution? Yeah, it's just 4. I don't really need to show work for that. The other one, I would like you to show work because these are the ones that we kind of make mistakes on. So let's go ahead and show work for the other one. I'll subtract 3. And then my last step, I'm going to divide by 2. Guess what? That's a fraction. Who cares? I'm going to write it just like that, -3/2. You will have some answers. They will be fractions. That's okay. It doesn't matter. You don't have to give me a decimal. Just write them like that. We have just one more problem to do together. Let's all get caught up. This was the last type of factoring that we did. This one is factoring trinomials. Tri means 3. So factoring this trinomial, we're going to look at this, and the leading coefficient is 1. So for this one, the leading coefficient is 1. These are easy. I like to call this fast factoring. It's fast factoring because it's fast. It's fast. It's easy. It shouldn't take that much time. So as we're learning this, you're probably going to need to write down factors, and that's okay. But as you get a little faster, some of you may not need to write down factors. So what I'm going to do is I write down factors of the last number. So I'm going to take that 36 and I'm going to write down factors of 36 off to the side. I typically start with 1. So 1 and 36. 2 and 18. 3 and 12. 4 and 9. 6 and 6. Can y'all think of any others? I think that's it. So what we're looking for now, you have to look for factors that can multiply to give you 36. So these are all factors that can multiply to give you 36. But the two numbers have to be able to be put together. And when I say put together, it may be in some way adding or subtracting. You have to be able to put them together to make the middle number. So 4 and 9 will work. I can put together 4 and 9 to make 13. So I'm going to use 4 and 9. So when I make my factors, they will always start out with X. And then I put the two numbers in there, 4 and 9. I have to look at the middle number. The middle number is positive. The middle number is positive, so the bigger number, so this is positive, so the bigger number is positive. So which one is bigger, 4 or 9? 9. So for the other one, if I have 9, would I add or subtract 4 to get 13? Add, that's how I figure out my other number. Also, if these are both positive, the result will both be positive. And there's a little thing that shows you on the back of these notes. Guess what? There's a little cheat sheet and it tells you on the back bottom left side of this notes paper, the Factoring Polynomial Study Guide, it tells you like if those numbers are both positive in the parentheses, they'll both be positive. So it like is a guide, it helps you. So this is helpful. Do you see that? The bottom left corner on the back page, it tells you like what type of signs you're going to have in there. Now keep in mind the parentheses can be switched. So the bottom two, like the minus, it could be minus and then plus, but this is a very helpful guide. So if these are my factors, what are my solutions? -4 and -9. Do they have to be in that order? No. It doesn't matter if the -9 is written first. Do what? What about it? You should know that it is x equals. Any questions? So if you were struggling with answering that day one homework, now is a good time to go back and do that.
You have to pay your